we're going to look at one of my all-time favorite topics, and that is estimating square roots. I love estimating square roots because, as I tell my kids, math is super cool. This is one of the reasons why. When we try to estimate square roots, we are estimating to the nearest tenth. And the reason why we're estimating is because our square root, or the number we're trying to take the square root of, is not a perfect square. So if we were trying to take the square root of 25, 25 is a perfect square. So the square root of 25 is 5. There's no need to estimate that. The types of numbers that we are estimating are the ones that are irrational, and they're the ones that are not perfect squares. So let's say we want to estimate the square root of 60. All right. Hopefully you have some of your perfect squares memorized. So what we want to do is think about the number line and what two square roots would the square root of 60 fall between. I know on the high end the square root of 64, and on the low end it would be the square root of 49. So the square root of 60 is going to fall somewhere in between these two numbers. I also know that the square root of 64 is 8 and the square root of 49 is 7. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to think about what number is halfway between 7 and 8, and that would be 7.5. To find the square root that goes along with 7 and 5, I'm going to multiply 7 times 8, and that will give me the square root that is approximately 7.5. So now I know that this square root of 60 is going to fall somewhere on this side of 7.5. So now I just need to look at what I have. Now my boundaries are square root of 56 and square root of 64, and square root of 60 is going to fall right here in the middle. So now I'm going to estimate this to be about 7.7 or even 7.8. So I would say that the square root of 60 is approximately 7.7. Let's try another one. Let's do the square root of 91. So I'm going to think of the number line and set the two end boundaries. The square root of 91 is below 100, but it's bigger than 81. Those are the two perfect squares that are on either side of the square root of 91. I know that the square root of 81 is 9. I know that the square root of 100 is 10. So now I want to estimate what would be 9.5. And the way I get the square root that's in the middle of my perfect squares is to multiply my whole numbers. So 9 times 10 is 90. So now if I'm going to place the square root on my number line, I'm going to put it right past 9.5. And in fact, it's so close that I'm going to go ahead and say that the square root of 91 is approximately 9.5.